So we've seen your comments, and we can tell you right now that a lot of people aren't happy with the fact that these tools right here, this inside micrometer, is quite expensive. Even a cheap one, which is this SPI, they're like almost $400. So there are some cheaper alternatives. They are harder to use, which is why we don't, but let's get into it right now. All right, come on here and see what we got here for measuring inner diameters. We've got something here we call snap gauges or telescoping gauges. Good old caliper, which we've talked about many different times. Our friend, the inside mic. And this is something interesting. This is a dial bore gauge, usually seen when people are working on automotive machining. Snap gauges are super easy to use. You push it into the bore, and what it's going to do is it's going to collapse in on itself, and then you just have this little thumb wheel back here, and you go ahead and tighten that little knurled handle down, and it locks it into position. This is going to be the cheapest option, period. I mean, you go to Harbor Freight Tools and can buy a set of these for like 20 bucks. And then the caliper, you know, it depends on what quality you want. We like Mitutoyo personally, but you can get cheaper versions and still get reasonably accurate assessment with this. So let's move on. Next is the dial bore gauge. It's going to be very accurate. Come on here. First thing you need to do is a little trickier to set up because you need to select the proper anvil that's going to fit in the bore that we're measuring. And then what happens is as you push it into the hole, it's going to turn the dial indicator for accuracy. Now, in order to use this, so you need a companion tool in order to set this up. You would need an inside micrometer. You set the inside mic to the dimension you're shooting for, which in this case, for instance, BB86, we're doing a 40.98. And so that's the target. And so I would set this up here, and then we notice this needle, it would be 0. You see how the gauge is bottoming out at 0, so that any measurement I have here is going to be a greater dimension. If it starts swinging past this 0, it's reading in 0.5 thousandths of an inch, that means our bore is smaller. So let's go check that out. These are a little trickier to use, and you need to have more skill, not only to set them up, but also to read them. Okay, so that right there, we're actually reading smaller. We're smaller than 40.98, okay, by about a thou, or about a thou too small. You know, if you're assessing these frames prior to the install, this one's actually looking pretty good. This one's not the worst. I would still ream it myself, but you could get away with putting a bottom bracket in there and getting reasonably good performance. And the reason why we like these better than calipers and snap gauges is because we have 3 points of contact, and allows us to keep us centered in the bore as much as possible. This just does that by nature because it has these 3 different portions that come out and contact the inside of the bore. That's why we favor these. Quite expensive, so those are the alternatives. BBInfinite, check the link in our bio, and come buy a bottom bracket from us and some ceramic pulleys. Go watch those videos. It's crazy how they spin.